Hello, my name is Kelvin Nyeusi-Mawazo. I'm the cartoonist behind Seymour and Clops, and this is the True North Country Comics podcast.
Welcome to the True North Country Comics podcast, originating in Canada and celebrating comic book and graphic novel creators and supporters. I'm John Swinimer. On this episode, I chat with Kelvin Nyeusi-Mawazo about his comic strip, Seymour and Clops. Based in Toronto, Ontario, Kelvin Nyeusi-Mawazo is a cartoonist, graphic novelist, public speaker, and creator of Black Sun Comics. Kelvin uses his skills he's acquired as a photographer, front-end web developer, and college instructor to digitally illustrate his books and teach others how to do the same through his workshops. He's a self-proclaimed nerd and lover of almost all things sci-fi, lo-fi instrumental hip-hop and house music, post-apocalyptic zombie movies, and retro gaming. His latest project is the comic strip Seymour and Clops. The story of Seymour and Clops goes like this. Get ready for wild adventures with Seymour, a shy child genius, and his best friend Clops, a talking one-eyed blue cat with horrible manners. Living in the unusual suburb of Autumn Springs, the pair are always stumbling into unexpected situations, bizarre mysteries, and laugh-out-loud mishaps. From outrageous inventions to strange creatures and interdimensional surprises, every day brings a new adventure. So, without further ado, here's my chat with Kelvin Nyeusi-Mawazo about his comic strip, Seymour and Clops. Kelvin Nyeusi-Mawazo, thank you very much for taking time to chat with me.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm always happy to see you around at events.
That's
I'm
the
happy for
thing.
the opportunity.
We've met up at a lot of different events over the past few years, but we haven't had a good conversation in a while. So I figure now that was the right time to do it. So before we get going with all the questions, though, I would like to know, what are you reading today?
That's a great question. So I have a stack of books here because I'm at the library all the time. And the first one that I'm reading is The Postman from Outer Space and the Biker Bandits. And this is by, I'm going to butcher this man's name, Guillaume Perrault. He's a Canadian author. He's from Quebec. And I just like his visual style. It's very, it's kind of, I guess people would say it's like a children's author type illustration style, but I really like that. I'm also reading SP4RX, and this is like a cyberpunk graphic novel by an author named Ren McDonald, a graphic novelist named Ren McDonald. So I'm halfway through this. And then the last thing that's on my list is this is manga. So Blame, the first edition by, I'm going to butcher this name too, Tetsumo Nihai. And I apologize for my pronunciation, folks, but that's the best I can do. Even though I can't pronounce their names, this stuff is fantastic. So I've been having a blast.
Well, I applaud you
These
for
three books
finding
right
time
now.
to read. I mean, that's with everything going on, it's tough to, carve out time during the day to do some reading. So good on you for doing that, for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It is tough to carve out time. Absolutely.
So we met up recently at the Toronto Comic Arts Festival. That was a
Yes.
great event, but I want to ask you, how was it for you? How did it go?
It was all right. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there for the second day. So it takes place on the Saturday and the Sunday. I was there for the Friday for the Word Balloon Academy, which is always cool. I always learn a lot of stuff from the other artists that run classes there. I was there for Saturday. That was cool. But Sunday, I had a family thing. I had to dip out. So I didn't get a chance to enjoy the festival in its entirety. But the Saturday was cool. I got to meet, all the regular comic folks. I saw you, and just chit-chatting with people who come by the booth and talk and support is always a fantastic time.
For
So
sure.
that aspect of it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, sorry you couldn't be there for the whole thing, but glad you
Yeah.
at least had a portion of it go well for you. So,
Yeah. Such is
and
life.
yeah, I suppose, and life goes on. But there at the event, though, I found out that you have a new comic book called Seymour and Clops. So I got to ask you,
Yes.
what is Seymour and Clops all about?
So Seymour and Clops is really a break from my original series, the Black Sun, the Longest Night. So while that first series was very serious and dark and foreboding, almost bordering on horror, not really, but bordering on that, I've been doing that for so long that I needed a break. People started to get the wrong idea about me. They think that I'm really this brooding guy who never smiles, but that's really the opposite. So Seymour and Clops is a comedic Afro-surrealist comic strip This is a comic strip is something that I've always wanted to do, and I figured now's the chance. It's about a shy child genius inventor who befriends a one-eyed talking blue cat with horrible manners. And together they get into all sorts of zany activities and crazy adventures and do all sorts of stuff. It takes place in between the borders of the Toronto GTA. So, in a fictional suburb called Autumn Springs. Between Brampton and Toronto exists Autumn Springs. Between Oshawa and Ajax exists Autumn Springs. So it's kind of dreamlike in that sense. It's more comedic, more so than
Ah,
anything else. Yeah.
you just said that you wanted to take a break from the more serious comic books, but was there any type of inspiration you drew upon to create this story?
Yeah, absolutely. So this draws on inspiration from my like early childhood. I think the first comic I started reading, I was 6 or 7, was Garfield. And Garfield to me at the time was the funniest thing I'd ever read. So I'd read Garfield and just comic strips like in the newspaper. I'm old, so I know what newspapers are. Heathcliff, stuff like that. I got an affinity for cats. So I wanted to do a cat, but my own kind of version of a cat. Dennis the Menace. What else is there? Charlie Brown, Peanuts, Hi and Lois. I used to read the Spider-Man comic strips as well. For better or for worse, Calvin and Hobbes. So all those kind of comic strip influences I always had kicking around in my head, and I said, let me do this, but I'll do it kind of my way and add my own spin on things. That's what inspired Seymour and Clops.
That's cool. So who's the audience? I mean, the main character is a youngster. Are you writing to that young audience, or are you trying to appeal also to the adult sensibilities of the readers?
Well, it's all ages, so anyone can enjoy it. So the kids kind of gravitate towards it because of the bright colors and they're silly. They do silly things and it's funny for little kids. But adults can enjoy it too. So it's kind of a break from the seriousness of life, right? But one of the things that I really liked about comic strips is just how you can, no matter what's going on in your personal life, you can read these 4 or 5 panels or whatever and it just brings a nice little chuckle to you, a smile to your face, and you can kind of go on with your day. So it's a bit of a recharge with humor.
Yeah, we need humor these days, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
So I may have misspoken at the outset. I called this a comic book, but is it really a comic book? I thought maybe I'd seen it online as a web-based comic.
So it is. So it is a web comic, and that's my original outlook for it. But what I did was, so I did a whole bunch of strips. Before I even published it online, I think I did about 50 different strips before anyone saw anything. And so what I do is I publish it online every week and I'm still doing more. So it gives me enough of a buffer so that I don't have to worry about missing my update schedule. I update it every Friday, but I've collected a bunch of those strips into a book, and that's what I was promoting at TCAF. So there is a book, but that I haven't put online to sell yet. I only sell that at festivals. So whenever I'm doing the next festival, I'll have the book there and people can pick that up. Or you can read it online as well. And the book will have more things than what you see online. That's kind of the whole spiel around that.
Nice. Now, you mentioned that your strip is in 4 panels and sometimes it changes, it varies. So I've got to ask you then, do you find that the 4 panels themselves may be limiting in how you want to get a gag or a story across?
No, actually, I find it very refreshing. Because I was doing long form stuff before, I would have to think so much about how the page is laid out. How am I going to tell this next part of the story? I'm not sure how many panels it'll take. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's 6, maybe it's 7. I don't know. So I always have to decide that. And it's kind of a barrier for the production of each page for me. But with 4 panels, every strip is 4 panels. Sometimes it's one, but most times it's 4 panels. It's that consistency of knowing that, okay, it's these 4 panels that I got to fill up. And that's my little piece of the story. So I find it very refreshing just to work in 4 panels. It just keeps things consistent and it keeps things predictable. And I know I won't get overwhelmed because my thought process is, well, all I have to do is just fill up these 4 panels and that's one strip done. And then I can move on to the next idea and the next idea and the next idea. So I actually find it really freeing. I work faster with just 4 square panels. They might become rectangles in the future, but for now they're square.
Right.
Yeah.
Has your creative process, your creative technique changed in this strip-based comic creation?
Yes. So before I was working with 3D models and doing digital painting. That worked for Black Sun the Longest Night, but that art style doesn't work for something that's more comedic like Seymour and Clops. So I this is all drawn, it's all hand drawn. It's done digitally. I have an Android tablet that I take with me wherever I go, and when I get an idea, I can just draw it out. So I cartoon. So it's all cartooning, drawing, inking, everything done on the tablet, the coloring as well, position of the panels, all that kind of stuff. So it's freeing as well because even though I'm not in front of my PC, I'm still on a digital device, but I'm using my hand to actually draw every single thing. Sometimes I'll incorporate some 3D models and stuff just for reference, but the majority is just hand drawn, just cartoon style. Yeah. So it's changed quite a bit actually.
Are you using any special program on your Android tablet to create your artwork?
Yeah, I love Clip Studio Paint. That is fantastic. But I've been getting more into Krita or Krita. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but that's like an open source painting drawing software that also works on an Android tablet. I wrote it off before because it's free, and sometimes when things are free, it means they're not that good. But Krita is different. I would say it's almost on the same level as Clip Studio Paint. The only difference between the two is that Clip Studio Paint will offer you more reference materials like screen tones and that sort of thing. You can do it in Krita, but it's a bit more of a workaround for finding stuff. But I'm using both. So sometimes I'll use Krita, sometimes I'll use Clip Studio Paint, but I'm kind of inching my way more towards Krita. There's just a few more things that I got to figure out before I switch totally over to Krita.
Yeah, I tend to gravitate towards more free thing these days. I'm a Linux
Mhm.
guy, moving away from Windows and subscriptions and all that sort of stuff. So having an application that is free, but still has support, mind you, and ongoing support and innovation, that can really help in the long run.
It's funny that you mentioned Linux. I was actually thinking of switching to Linux, but I'm afraid. So
Well,
I might reach out to you with some questions later on.
sure, there's
'Cause
similar applications. I think there's a little bit of a learning curve, but most applications these days are comparable. Anyway, we can talk about that offline, but
yeah,
let's
yeah,
get
yeah.
back to you. Most people know you from your Black Sun comics that you mentioned, where the focus is Afrofuturism. So I got to ask you, is Seymour and Clops part of that focus?
Yes, but in a different kind of way. So Seymour and Clops is more Afro-surrealist. And you might have heard the term surrealist, like, Salvador Dali does like surreal paintings. So while Seymour and Clops is comedic, it's surrealist in that there's things in the story that make no sense, like a blue talking cat, a child who creates robots and they go to different dimensions. So that part of it is very surreal, but it's still told from a Black Canadian perspective, right? The character grew up in Toronto, which is part of my experience. So that is always interwoven into the story as well. The differences and the similarities between Black Sun, The Longest Night, which is Afrofuturist, right, which depicts a future vision, and Seymour and Clops, which takes place present day, but things are weird, right? So
Right. Yeah.
I live in Pickering, and there's a place called Frenchman's Bay. There'll be a section of the story where there's sharks in Frenchman's Bay, which in real life makes no sense, right? Sharks live in salt water, not in lakes. But in Seymour and Clops, things like that will happen. So that's the surrealist aspect of it.
So we were talking at the outset about TCAF and you were exhibiting there. Do you have any other events lined up for later this year to promote your work?
Yes, I do. I will be Okay, so this is going live in August. So I will be at the Canadian Black Literary Festival. That's happening in Ajax, Ontario. I will also be at the Toronto Word on the Street Festival. I really like that one. I was there maybe 3 years ago. I didn't get a chance to do it after that, but I'm really looking forward to that. There's Ajax Public Library's Local Author Day. I will be at that as well. Yeah, so those are the things that are coming up. I have some bookings for next year, but I won't get into that. People can visit my website and they can see those things. So Canadian Black Literary Festival, Toronto Word on the Street, and Ajax Public Library's local author day. I'll be at those things by the time this interview comes out.
Sounds good. Well, we've been talking about Seymour and Clops. I'm wondering, is there anything else you can talk about that you're working on?
Yes, I'm looking. I can't say too much, so this is top secret stuff. But I will be working on a one-shot story, probably about 20 22 pages, and this is going to be probably horror. I'm still this is sci-fi horror, but I can't tell you much more than that. So
Okay,
it'll be kind of like an offshoot of Black Sun: The Longest Night, like a side story, because even though that is finished, there's still more to come. I just want to get this Seymour and Clops thing off my chest just because it's been sitting in my head for so long. So,
sure. You mentioned horror. Is that something we should expect around a Halloween spooky time frame, or is it something
oh, that
even
would be
further?
so awesome. If I could get it done for Halloween, that would be perfect. I will try. I can't guarantee it, but I will definitely try.
Well, with everything that you have on the go with projects and strips and different events, where should people go online to find out about what you're up to?
So the best place to go is blacksuncomics.com. There you will find everything. If you want to see my author website, that's at knm.crd.co. I know that's a bit harder to remember, but just go to Black Sun Comics and you'll find links for that. And then if you go to seymourandclops.site, you'll get to see the web comic. But the only thing you really need to remember is blacksuncomics.com, and there will be links out to all those things that I've mentioned. So just blacksuncomics.com, and you will find everything that you need.
Thanks to Kelvin for the chat. You can discover more about Kelvin at knm.crd.co and on Instagram at Black Sun Comics. You can discover more about Black Sun Comics at blacksuncomics.com. And thank you for tuning in to the True North Country Comics podcast. I invite you to visit the True North Country Comics website to listen to even more conversations with creators about making comic books and graphic novels. You can follow along True North Country Comics on most social media platforms, and you're encouraged to send any and all feedback to True North Country Comics at proton.me. Thanks for tuning in, and come back soon for another episode. Bye for now. True North Country Comics Podcast is copyright True North Country Comics, copyright 2026.